tune in and you choose to stay and listen to us, and we love you and appreciate you for that. My name is Animwaa Anim-addo, and we'll be having this conversation until about 8 o'clock. Now, today, we're having a bit of a slightly more serious conversation than normal, even though we do the serious conversation sometimes. But International Women's Day is coming up next week, and it's always a time for us to kind of analyze and look back on how far we've come from the days of the Beijing conference and fighting for women's empowerment and equality, and all the things that have been associated with this fight to break the glass ceiling and find perhaps some equity and when it comes to dealing with men and opportunities. So today we're going to have a conversation on breaking the bias. But we're having a generational review. So we're going to compare how things have gone over the years from, maybe as far back as the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, up until about now. So a generational review in terms of breaking the bias, the things that have stood in the way of women. And today I'm honored to be joined by three exceptional women, each representing their generation. I'm going to start with by introducing Honorable Beatrice Bernice Boating. She's a former MP for New Joabing South. She was MP from January 2009 to January 2013. Good evening and
Good
welcome.
evening, dear. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you so much for giving us
You're
your
welcome.
time. And also we have Theresa Ayoade. She is the CEO for Charterhouse, and she is representing her generation, which is kind of like my generation. Just okay, so it's two against two, and then of course, resident Kaftan specialist Esina Batali, digital marketing strategist, and she is representing what generation Z?
Gen Z.
Gen Z, all right,
Yeah.
the Gen Z squad. So thank you so much for joining us this evening.
Welcome.
No, thank you
for having us.
So, Honorable, let me start with you. And I'm starting with you because I grew up watching my mother go to the Beijing conference, and, fighting for things that we don't have to fight for anymore. So, first of all, I always feel like we owe your generation so much thanks, for breaking some of those barriers. But I feel like it would be nice if you kind of take us through what those days were like when you were younger. Trying to forge ahead, trying to make your own path. What was that like? What were some of the things that you faced?
Yeah, thank you so much, and I'm happy to be here with all of you. And having been here to meet the other generations, I think we're going to learn a lot from
Yes,
all of us.
yeah.
Yeah, my dear, it wasn't easy at all. I think it even started from our homes. Parents
Yeah.
felt that the girls should remain with their mothers, held them in the kitchen, in the markets, wherever, whilst the boys were out there. So when it got to a time that we felt it was enough and we should also go out, it wasn't easy. However, some of us had been briefed by some friends. And for me, what really helped me was the fact that I liked moving with men instead of women.
Okay.
Because I felt that I knew what women knew, and then I needed to know what I did not know.
Okay, okay.
So that was my life. And I remember when I went to Parliament, anytime when the House and people were looking at me on the telly,
TV.
they wouldn't find me where the girls were, where the women were. I was always amongst the men. I was there for 2 or 3 reasons. Reasons being that I had been a teacher all through my life, and unfortunately, I never had a secondary education, but I felt I could still make it. So I realized that when we went to Parliament, there were a lot of things that I did not know, but I felt I should learn. And so I was always picturing from the men who knew. And anytime I reported at the Parliament House, whether you were NDC or MPP, I would just come and sit by you. If I had realized you were somebody who were giving enough contributions, I would come and sit by you and I would be listening. And one thing is that I never accused anybody for bringing us to where we were then, because that was what we came to meet. But my idea was that we should make a change. That was why I was always sitting with them, learning a lot from them. And I think it helped me. I remember one time during our vetting, someone asked, but are you married? I said, what about it? Are you also married? He said, no, no, baby, we are serious. I'm asking a question. I said, no, no. I don't think why I'm here requires are you married or you are not married. I'm not married. Do you want to marry me? And then he was looking at me. I said, look here. If you finish asking the men whether they are married or not, come and ask me.
Yeah.
Because it's not part of the questions. And they were looking at me. And I remember one time at the floor of the house, I got up to answer a question, to ask the question. And immediately I got up. Are you married? I said, who is ready to marry me? Wow. If you're not married, sit down. I said, no. I will
They
stand
actually
up.
said that if you're not married, sit down. Oh, wow.
No, you see, it's part of the. So I said, no, I'm ready to marry. If somebody is ready, someone should come. And we made fun of it. But I was someone who would never be weakened by their shouts and other things. You could shout for 10 hours. I will stand up for 10 hours until you allow me to ask whatever I wanted to ask. And since then, I was ready to learn, and I thought that we should help the girls. Luckily about me, all through my life, every position by God's grace I've held, I've been the first woman, the first woman, the first woman. Wow. Because I want something that people think is not normal. That's what I always want to be. And that has been me for all the while until now. And I think I enjoyed being in Parliament for the 10 years.
It's okay. We're just trying to silence the phone. It's okay. Okay. All right. You were saying you were
Yeah, I said that
10. You were in Parliament for
4
you
years.
had just started
Yeah.
that sentence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I was bent on doing something that people had not done, especially women had not done. And as I was saying, for me, all through the time that I've worked, I've been the first woman, wherever I went to. I always want the challenges. And when I've been able to do it, I step back for other women also to come in. And I think it has helped me so much.
Yeah.
And I'm happy doing that. So I think the challenge ourselves.
Okay.
But I think time is coming. In fact, a lot of changes have come, and I think we will get there.
Yeah. Okay, so Theresa, let me come to you because can I call you BB? I noticed that
Please do. That's my name.
Okay, so I noticed that I can't call you BB, like Auntie BB.
No. Just BB should be okay.
Talks about, challenges and being the first woman to this and the first. And when you listen to her, it kind of takes a certain extraordinary strength to stand out. Do you feel that it has gotten easier? I mean, I'm sure from what you've heard from those that have gone before you. Or do you feel that the challenges are kind of still the same?
I think it has gotten relatively easier
Okay.
now than a few decades ago. And but we're still not fully where we should be.
Okay.
And I think that there's a lot of there's awareness, but not enough.
Okay.
Not enough awareness because I feel that even though the conversations are there and more people are open to women's equality, I think the women are not stepping up themselves.
Okay.
Yes. So I feel that now the onus is on us, the women, to really step forward and really claim our space and own our space.
Why do you think that women are not stepping forward?
I feel that it's because some of these biases are being passed down
Okay.
from generation to generation.
Which ones do you think are kind of sticking out really now?
I mean, I had to be called out by my 15-year-old daughter on
Oh,
some
that's
biases.
interesting.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, tell us.
On some
tell us
biases
about
that I
These
didn't even
teenagers.
pay attention to that I was perpetuating.
Okay, like.
Yes, like some of the things she mentioned that the daughters go with the mothers, the sons go with the fathers.
Okay.
So in a typical household, I have two children,
Okay.
a daughter who's 15 years old and a boy who's 19. And on a typical Saturday morning when I'm going to the kitchen to try to rustle up some breakfast, I'm knocking on her door and calling her, come on, let's go to the kitchen and get breakfast going. And that was like the natural thing for me to
What did
do.
she say? I want
And
to
then,
know what she said.
oh, she came with me a couple of times. Then she said, but why am I the only one here? Why are you always calling only me? Why are you not calling my brother? And then I was like, you know,
Yeah.
you know,
Nice one.
yeah.
Nice
And I was
one.
like, okay, okay. You told me, come and join us in the kitchen. Now it sounded very odd to me,
It did, didn't
calling
it?
him to
Yeah,
come
yeah.
to the kitchen with me. So I really had to really think about what she had said. Then I now figured out, okay, I need to approach this differently. So I now went to my son and said, you know what? We are all going to cook in the kitchen breakfast on Saturday mornings. And he was like, oh, mommy. I was like, no, it's a life skill. Yeah, everybody needs to learn how to cook.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, as a young man, you'll be going out to university, you'll be on your own, and you'd have to cook. So come, I mean, you need to know how to fry an egg, you need to know how to do this. So I had to change my approach and say, come, let's all go to the kitchen. Cooking is a life skill. It's not because you are a girl and you should come with me to the kitchen and the boy should be sleeping. So it really, I mean, forced me to really think about how I was approaching it. And I realized that I was biased. I was perpetuating that same
Yeah.
bias. It took her calling me out
Yeah.
to make me change the way I was approaching it. And she calls me out at every stage. At every point, she calls me
I
out.
have one of those.
You know, and my son, I remember there was once they were arguing about who should clean their dishes after eating. And my son opened his mouth and said, you should do it because you're the girl. Before I could even react to tell him off, she had taken the battle right to him, you know. And was like, what do you mean I'm a girl? Didn't we all eat the same food? Don't you have the same hands as I have? Why should I be the one? So I just sat down and I folded my hand, just watched them battle it out amongst each other. And she refused. She not because she's a girl. So now they had to ballot who should do it, and then they had to now take turns. I do it today, you do it tomorrow. I do it today, you do it tomorrow. So she actually forced me to really begin to look at myself like, okay, you call yourself a woman's rights, a woman's champion. I mean, I organized the National Women's Summit, you know. And here I am perpetuating the same biases that we grew up with. So so it's very, very deep rooted, and we need to be very intentional about it. Some of us, sometimes when we don't even know that we women ourselves, we are actually perpetuating the biases. We don't even know because it's just the way we've been brought up.
Yeah.
It's the way we've been brought up culturally, and also the gender roles that have been assigned to women for centuries.
Yeah.
So we've slipped into those roles, and we've allowed those roles to take hold of us, and we've shaped our lives and modeled our lives and our careers and our destinies along those roles. So it's going to take a lot to change them, but I think that more of these conversations would help.
Do you think that Islam, I'm going to come to you in a second, but do you think that women are actually perpetuating the bias more?
I think by accepting the gender roles that were given to us, I mean, centuries ago. This is not about even decades. It's about centuries ago. By accepting those roles and going with them, I think we've made it easier for the universal perpetuation of the biases.
Okay.
Because we've accepted them, and our parents have passed it on to us for years and years. So it just needs a very conscious action to start unraveling them and questioning and asking why.
Yeah.
And because the younger generation they like to ask questions and question everything. They don't just take things hook, line, and sinker like the way we did in our generation. You know, now when we're growing up, even in a cultural upbringing, you could not challenge an adult. You could not ask why. I mean, just one look from your mother and you're quiet. I mean, when grown-ups are talking, you can't talk. So we grew up in a whole different generation, you know. But these younger ones, they are more expressive.
Yeah.
And I think for most of us, the way we grew up and the things that we were not happy with and we felt suppressed and oppressed, I think we are being more lenient to our children.
Yes.
We want our children to be more expressive. We want to be closer to them. We want to listen to them more. We want to have conversations with them, engage with them more. So because of that, our children are more open. They communicate more. They are more opinionated, and we are more tolerant of them. So we are allowing them to express themselves, and I think in so doing, they are questioning a lot of the things they see around us, which we took for granted and we never questioned, but they are questioning it. So I think Mommy's generation was a whole different era. Ours, I think, was slightly better because we found more women in the workforce and all of that. So but I think the next generation, I think, is going to be way, way, way better. I think if we are at 50% of the breaking of the biases, I think their generation will take it to about 70%
Okay.
and further.
Well, 70% squad. How do you feel? I mean, when you hear some of these things, I mean, do you still face some of these things as much, or are some of these concepts like completely foreign?
I think that some of the challenges have stayed fundamentally the same, in terms of perception of women and what a woman should be or how a woman should be. And even with our generation, it's even cutting deeper because of social media. You are able to see people openly profess or proclaim how women should be by the kind of content that is put on social media. And again, we have a different line of challenges.
Yeah, of course.
We have enhanced challenge. If this was challenge, ours is challenge pro max, because because for us, we not only have to battle the stereotypes and the biases that exist in the traditional world. In the digital world, we also have to battle those biases as well. So you would find that we're in the workforce. A lot of us are taking up STEM jobs and arts jobs, and we're in there. We're making the moves, but we have certain limitations with respect to how far we can go as women because of certain barriers that some people have set for us. Let me get up right now and say that I am going to stand for Member of Parliament for Ablekuma Central. The kind of feedback, the kind of what do you call it?
The comments and
The
even,
kind of
yeah.
blockages I'll face. A man wouldn't have to face those same blockages. Even a man my age will not have to face those same
No,
blockages.
of course not. Yeah.
The standards by which we are judging men are different from the standards by which we are judging women. And now with social media, everybody can hide behind their data to come and say whatever they want. Everybody can buy 5 CDs data and sit behind
That's what she
their
meant
phone.
by hiding behind their data.
Yes, can buy 5 CDs. Keyboard warriors
Under some
buy
corner.
their buy data and sit behind and tell you that you are looking too posh for a woman, you are looking too slim for a woman, you are looking
Too fat.
too bougie for a woman, you are looking too fat for a woman. What at all do you want? And people get the chance to say whatever they like, just because they can afford to speak their mind about you. You wear clothes and people want to question your dressing just because they feel like women are supposed to be a certain way. So our challenges have moved beyond even the physical, beyond social cultural. It's now mental. The battles we are having to fight in our generation is more mental. We are having to fight people who we are not seeing, who anonymity has created a chance for them to say whatever they want. You find issues of women coming up, and then people get to the comment section and it's bloody. Meanwhile, people won't say the same thing
To face, no.
face to face, or even to men. Even if it was on social media, you hear issues of men cheating come up, and
It's acceptable.
it's okay.
The norm
People don't
almost,
really say, oh, people will say hard guy. Even a typical example is there's this musician in Nigeria called Oxlade. Oxlade's nude videos, naked videos, and sex tapes came out. And Tiwa Savage is also a musician in Nigeria, and her sex videos came out. The judgment was totally different.
She lost some of her
Oh,
deals as
he
well.
he was claimed Superman, Spider-Man, he's a champion, he's the king,
His was
Okay.
all right. Yeah.
which is all right. It's
Ah,
all right.
okay.
It's all right. For men and women are judged on different standards.
Yeah.
Even sexually, women who are now being able to claim their sexuality and being able to voice it out. If you voice it out, you can't say it to an extent. You can only do just a bit. So the biases that we are facing or we're having to face is different, but it's on the same tangent. And of course, there are gatekeepers from the older generation who are also
judging.
who
Yeah.
are also there saying that, okay, I didn't get it like that. Why should you get it like that? In my time, in my days, we used to do this, we used to do that. And so sometimes they give society the chance to also get to us because they are also trying to hold the gates to their suffering. They want to transfer their suffering onto the younger generation. For you go to secondary schools, and the young women over there are being taught to present themselves in a certain way in order to not to grow too fast. Don't keep your hair because it will make you look old. It will make you look impenitent. I mean, these are all subtle biases that we don't know, but it's in their formative years we are shaping how they think. You're not supposed to look a certain way. You're not supposed to be yourself. You're not supposed because you're supposed to keep yourself and present yourself in a way that is acceptable by society. And so yes, our biases may be different, but we're still going through it, and it's even worse now because we're having more demons to fight, both online and offline.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. It seems like a lot. Let me come back to you, Honorable. I mean, you talk about your time as a member of parliament, and obviously having to go head to head with the men. A few years ago, there was an incident on social media which was very sad. One of the young ladies who's now a member of parliament was, I think this was around elections, and she had posted something about her constituency on social media, and a lot of the comments that came about the post were not actually about the post or about the fact that she wasn't married, the fact that she was single, and the fact that maybe she was divorced, or she had children with this and she had children with that. Why does, and I'm taking marriage as one topic because women are still judged today so much by whether they are married or not. And I kind of just want you to let us know what it was like in your time, because this is a generational review. So we're talking about marriage. What was it like in your time? Did you see that you were treated differently from the women who were married? And even the women who were married themselves, were they treating you differently? How did it affect your political career? Just not, being married at that time when you were a parliamentarian.
Yeah, thank you so much. I think that they are all part of the tools that the men are using. Really, at times you realize that they pass certain comments that are not true of women, but they just want to sway you out of the positive thing that you want to do.
Yeah.
So at times you would realize that men might pass certain comments. I think I said it earlier on. One time I was on the floor of Parliament making a contribution. Then somebody whispered there, "Where are the married women? They should talk." Then I sat down quietly. "Yes, where are they?" And I said, "Please come and marry me because I want to talk." Come. So I was still standing, and they realized that I was not going to sit down until I had said what I wanted to say. It is not too easy, but I think that certain times there are some issues that also pull us back.
Okay.
For instance, I had a friend who was trying to be loud, and I think the husband called her in the presence of the parents and told her that if she wants her marriage to survive, then she should stop that thing.
Oh, wow.
Which thing was that? So at a time, the girl was found to be quiet. She was no more talking. But we realized that a lot of the things that women are fighting for, when it has been achieved, it helps both sexes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It helps all of us, and even better. And I always like when I have a chance of talking to both men and women, I tell them that men and women are like the piano strings, the black and the white. Decide to play with only the black. You make a music, but not a decent music, not a better music. Decide to play with the other one, the same. But when you combine the two, wonderful music. So why do you think that we can move together?
Yeah.
Yeah. And there was a time somebody told a story that a village was going to be set up. Then they were asked, they had brought only men to ask them, they were going to set up a hospital, to ask them what they needed. And then the men started, refrigerator, this, that, the big things. There was a young girl passing by who was just like any of us. So she just stood and said, please, can I also talk? I said, we haven't called you. She said, but please, I have something to say. I said, what is it? Let us listen to it and then you go your way. He said, you have mentioned a lot of things that will make up a good hospital, but you have failed to mention cotton wool. You have failed to mention the gauze. You have failed to mention plaster. And then she started mentioning all these. Then people were amazed. He said, yes, you did not mention cotton wool and the like, but your wives use them all the time. You, who has failed to mention cotton wool or pad, what does your wife use? And then they realized that they could get all the bigger things that they needed in the hospital. Without these little things, they can't run the hospital.
Yeah.
So that is the main ideology about the whole thing. That's, look, if men say they will do it alone, they can't get there. Women cannot get there. But when we come together as piano, the black and white, it works better. So this one brings the idea, this one brings the idea. We put them together and you see that we have a better music. So what we are saying is that, yes, the men, left to them alone, they should have everything to themselves. But they realize it's not practicable. They know, but at times, not all of them anyway. Because I remember when I was trying my primaries, I formed a campaign committee. There were 23. And I had about 7 ladies and all the others were men. I said, help me. I must achieve. And they helped. You see, I think at times we should also know how to get the men to come around and help us. It is not too easy. But when you are able to do that, at times it works for us. And then what I also want to suggest is that women start very well, but at the tail end, we are not heard again because we don't control funding. We don't control anything. We are short of all these things. But without these, you can't make it. So it is high time for all the women who have started and they are still making the move, however difficult, for us to also have a platform where we can help ourselves financially and other things, because both hands should help one another. So I will make a move, because I tell you, without women, the men alone cannot do it.
No,
and without men, the women alone cannot do it. But when the two sexes come together, we'll have a wonderful place to live. So I think
it does. I mean, it sounds nice. I don't know if it's achievable or sustainable. And the reason I'm saying that, and let me put the question to you, Theresa, is that, like Honorable said, when you get a team of men who are helping you to achieve something that doesn't necessarily threaten them in the here and now, then obviously, it's, why not, But when it's head to head, and I feel like you're in a really good place to talk about that because of the industry that you're in and the fact that, it's very male dominated. Like when you're head to head, when it's actually not that you're helping me, but it's actually that I'm trying to take your spot or that I'm competing with you on a certain level, in that situation, then who do you rely on? Because there are not enough women, in policy. There are not enough women in funding. There are not enough women wanting to do certain types of. And the men are not going to help you. Not those who really, really matter. So then, what do you do?
It's a tough one out there. I mean, for women, because as she said, she just said a very, very interesting point about the fact that the finances. I mean, which is where the power is. If you don't have finances to back whatever you're doing, you will definitely come to a dead end. And so, for me, I feel that as women, we should be more strategic in our thinking, and understanding that when all this women's equality, women's empowerment, we've got to look at the various sectors of society, of the economy, and be intentional about pushing women in certain places, because you need to have a voice. Decisions are being made at certain levels, and if women are not present, our opinions, our voices will never be heard. So, though there's a general movement of empowerment, all of that, it needs to be more strategically directed. I feel that is where we need to. That's what we need to look at now.
Okay.
I think the general awareness, Beijing conference, yes, women have come out, women are working, women are getting there. A lot of women, I keep saying, a lot of women are now breaking through the glass ceiling.
Yes,
What are they
yeah.
doing
There.
with the power they've got at the top?
It's not easy.
What are they doing with it? So for
Because
me,
the power is placebo effect. It's just a placebo.
you know,
You are
so-
being included just for
something. Yeah.
you know,
Do you agree with that?
I believe that once a woman has broken through, you should be aware that you are not there just for yourself and your personal achievement, but you are there to shine the light on womanhood. And I feel that women should reach back and pull more women
Others,
up. You know, so why are our female quotas in parliament dwindling?
So low, yeah.
When one woman goes, any constituency, well, it's not easy. It's easier said than done
Definitely.
because of all
definitely.
the party hierarchies and all of that. But I wish women who break through would really be very deliberate and intentional about reaching back and pulling more women.
I just want to ask
I feel that we are really not at that
at that
level of thinking. We are
Yeah.
really not thinking that way. Currently, we are all in our individual heads, fighting our own individual battles and reacting as individuals at what is thrown at us. But if we began to rally around ourselves as women, for example, she's talking about how when you put something out on social media, everybody is I mean, women are one of the biggest cyber bullies.
Yeah.
You know, attacking women. So you wonder that, do we really understand what's going on here? That we should just be supporting each other. We should be supporting and pushing each other. Me, my personal take on this whole gender bias, and equality thing is that I believe that we are all, when God was creating us, He didn't create us any less than the men. He gave us the same equal abilities, equal.
Some would argue
equal,
even more.
No, equal. God did not discriminate against what I give a woman and what I give a man. He created human beings, and we are all supposed to be in His image and likeness.
thank you.
So we are created equal. Now, I have my potential. I have everything I can achieve in life, and you have everything you can achieve in life as a guy, as a male as well. Why should we place limitations on me, on my potential, on what I can do, on my dreams, on my aspirations? Why should society conspire to keep me here? Look at what happened to that village where they said they couldn't cross the river. I think it was a Joy FM story. They couldn't cross the river on some days because
Yes.
So the school girls had to be left at home whilst the
You
the
can't
males-
cross when you're in your period. Yeah.
So the girls had to stay at home, and the
So
boys
if you bleed
had-
for 7 days, that's 7 days out of a month
school.
that you're not in school.
I
Yeah.
mean,
And who was going to inspect whether you were in your period or
But
not?
but their mothers were
Yeah,
actually
yes.
yeah.
Gatekeepers.
Yeah.
So I mean, how could the mothers have accepted that? Because they have been conditioned over the years to accept these things. So I feel that the battle, honestly, to free women starts with women.
Yeah.
The battle of equality starts with women. If we women understand what the score is, understand what we need to do, and I know women, we are very turgid, we are very resilient, we are very strategic. Once we know that we have to do something, I think we band together to move in a particular direction, we will get there. But we are distracted by too many things.
Definitely. I'll come to the distractions. I want to ask something before I come to Esina. There's a quota almost at every table for women now. We fought for that. That we fought for.
Tell me about that quota.
The president, for example, has said, okay, this particular number of seats are for women. So if a woman is standing in the constituency, everybody should support her. Let's go. If the equal hiring opportunities, I've seen a lot of job applications in the last few weeks where they would finish everything with women are encouraged to apply, which kind of suggests that, okay, if you're a woman, then perhaps you would be considered more. So for that fight, I feel like, okay, we've maybe gotten to a place where we're being given a seat at the table. If you look at parliament, for example, there are the opportunities there. The women don't want to stand. If, for example, we're talking about even radio, so the Super Morning Show or for Newsfile, or for some of these conversations. When you call the women, they don't want to come. So it's almost like it's a war against ourselves. We fight to make the progress. The progress is made, the opportunities are opened, but we won't rise up to them. And then you talk about distractions. So, so then I'm just loving how you're. So, how do we overcome these distractions when the opportunities are given? What will it take for us to say that, okay, this opportunity is given, I am going to take it? Because otherwise, the battle is for nothing.
That's why I feel that women need to come to that awareness that any woman who is moving on, who is breaking through the ceiling, and who is succeeding and who is empowered, you're not doing it for yourself alone.
Yeah.
You are doing it for the tribe of women who came before you, who are coming after you.
Yeah.
So let's just take whatever we are doing seriously. Like you're saying, I mean, opportunities are there, but are women going for them? It's a challenge. Are women going for them? So why are they not going?
That's the question.
And how do we help them overcome those challenges? I personally feel that the route to some of these things are quite difficult.
Okay.
And I feel that they are probably built maybe by the men for the men. The route of campaigning and all of those things is very, very difficult.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And it takes, I mean, a woman who is ready to lay everything down to go along.
I'm trying to remember. One of the NDC parliaments, I can't remember exactly who it was. We had her on the show, and she talked about the fact that on the campaign trail, it's so easy for a man to whip out his junk and pee by the roadside. And you, as a woman, you are wearing jeans from mosquitoes. Where are you going to sit down and it's like corner and bend? You know, so it's like
That's what I was saying. That is
not easy.
It's difficult. So it takes.
But
Yeah.
when we come together, that's the issue. At times, we don't see women's fighting. A woman's fight is for all women.
Women. Yeah.
You see, at times, she has
It's solo. We see it as a
So,
solo
let
win.
her go.
It's a solo
Yeah.
win.
But
A solo
solo,
effort.
solo,
You
yeah.
see,
No, it's
with
not.
what you just said, that they give us opportunities, maybe women do not go. They will just tell you the opportunities are there. But when you want to go,
Exactly.
you see the strings attached.
Placebo
my dear.
effect.
To the world, they will tell you, it's there. It's the women who are not coming. But when you decide to go, madam, my dear, the strings.
And then we haven't even talked about sometimes having to sleep your way through to actually getting access to this, because in every woman's fight, at almost every point, you hear how she said there was a certain unspoken glance, there was a certain unspoken expectation about, okay, if you want this, well, you're going to have to give yourself in some capacity to be able to. So I don't think that's changed in all our generations. No, was it like that in your time? It was. Okay, and it's still like that. And
It has always been there.
yeah.
It has always been there. But then the onus again is back to the woman and how you are able to navigate those situations, because they will always be there. They'll always get thrown at you. They will pop up in the most unusual places, and you just need to know how to navigate them.
And I think they are doable. If you want to try, we can. When we have our friends and other people all supporting, we will get there. But at times you go and you see that you are just alone. Yeah,
So it's the support I'm calling
anywhere.
for. I'm calling for women rallying behind women, supporting, and knowing that the more people who break through, the more the more power we have to be seen and to be heard. So we need to. So for me, the key thing I want to communicate today is that let's support women.
Okay.
Let's support women who are moving, who are doing. Let's support women. Let's come together. Let's support women. For the mere fact that she's a woman, because somebody needs to take the lead, and somebody needs to be the brave one to step forward and say, "I'm going." And if you are not going and someone is going, then just rally behind the person and support the person.
Okay.
And be so that people say women do not give up along the line, because the road is really tough and it's lonely, as she's saying. So when you hear that there's a female, anybody running for any power or any position, or anybody standing up for office, I think women should be the number one supporters.
Okay.
But funnily enough, most women who rise to the top have more male supporters than female supporters.
Yes.
Funny enough, a lot of women say that my mentor was a male. I had more males guiding me, supporting me than the women who were
And the
around.
women. Wow.
Yes, a lot of them say that. So for me, I feel that women just need to
Support
understand
each
that
other.
any progress you make is not just for you alone, it's for
It's
womanhood.
for- Islam, do you feel like your generation is braver?
Yes,
Okay.
I think that for people in my generation, we're able to talk out more, call out more, like her daughter is calling her out. We're able to, we're unlearning a lot of the things that we've known. We've questioned what's happening. We're seeking answers for ourselves, and we're forming opinions that challenge the status quo. I think
Do you think that that is something that you've inherited? And I mean inherited in the sense that your generation have parents who are more willing, because I don't think that in our generation we were less outspoken. I just think the avenue was not given to us. So do you feel like, one, perhaps, we have created that avenue where you're able to be more. I can't imagine at 13 the things my daughter says to me, saying it to me. Even at my age, if I say it to my mother, if I'm not careful, I'll get 5 at once. So there's that. And then, I mean, so if you could address that and then,
Yeah.
But
continue.
remember, I said earlier that for our generation and the way we were suppressed and could not express ourselves and we didn't like it.
Yeah.
But that was what it was.
right,
So I think we all made a more conscious effort with our children
right.
to be more liberal with them, to be more
Exactly.
open with them, to communicate more with them. That is what has given them the opportunity to be more expressive and to be asking us questions and all of that. So I think that, like, I agree with you that this generation has allowed the next generation to be more expressive
Vocal and
more
expressive.
vocal
Yeah.
and more, and we are listening to them and we are learning from them.
Oh, yeah.
Our parents, I mean, learn from who? How can they learn from you? What do you know? I mean, that was
Yeah.
it. I mean, if your parents never learned from our parents never learned from us, but we are learning from our children.
Okay.
You
So
know,
you're,
we are
so you're
more-
definitely braver.
Yes, and our knowledge streams are widened. We know a lot more things now than our parents knew, and
And had
that
access
yes,
to.
Access to
so
information.
the access to information, and now we have access to language. We're able to define exactly what's going on and how we're feeling about it. We're able to speak about things and define exactly what's going on. You can call out sexual harassment by what it is. You can call out maybe gender biases that you're noticing and some discriminations by what they are. We have language to define what we're thinking, what we're going through. And so there's that. And then there's also the fact that I know we've been talking about women supporting each other, and women, when they get there, reach out and pull others. And most women in power don't actually have the power. Most women in power are there are strings being pulled by men. And I say this, and I know that it's going to stir up, cause some controversy, but we are also distracted by men
Yeah.
because they know that is the only way to break us. They know that if we come together, we are a stronger force, or we can achieve more, and they would plant distractions within us. Somebody who wants to get married at all costs because marriage has been positioned as a premium thing
An achievement.
would an achievement would easily disclose your plans and strategies to the man who is coming to show her a little bit of attention and saying, I'll marry you. If we had an organization, it's easier to break through us by men. Men's opinion are more valued and validates women. Women look up to men for validation. And so that is why probably we are where we are. And we look as if we have the power, but we really don't have the power. We look as if we're there and we can bring someone on. Like Mommy said, it looks as if the position is open, but really it's not. It's not. So you just try and say that you want to stand for the position. Then you see the bottlenecks that you have to unravel just because you're a woman. There are things that probably wouldn't have even come up, that wouldn't have even come up ever. But they are now going to come up because there's a woman coming into the mix. And so yes, we don't have it easier, and it looks as if we're making strides, but we're not.
I really like your
I
hair.
know. I disagree. I disagree with. I agree with a lot of things you're saying, but I disagree with the fact that you say that the women who break through don't really have the power. I think they have the power, but are they cognizant of the power that they have? Because if you are a managing director of a company, you have the power to do some at liberty to do some things led by the managing director or the head of the business. But are you looking into the business and seeing how you're affecting the lives of the women and maybe some policies in the business that do not favor women? Are you the one to point it out, and as a woman looking at it, or looking at it from a woman's eye? There's some things you can do.
I know a woman. I know.
I think that women who have risen to and gotten to positions of power do have the power. Granted that there are more men still in that space of power. There are more men there than women, and obviously they would have more power. I mean, cumulatively than a woman, or than the women, so to speak.
I know of
but
a
I
company.
think that
Teresa.
the women who have gotten where they are do have the power to make some changes that would affect positively womanhood.
I think maybe we should agree on some.
I think they have some power.
Yes, I know of a
Some
company
power.
that has like 6 senior managers. Only one woman. That woman deserves to be there, but she's able to operate in the power given to her by her colleagues. She can only move a certain radius, even though her position allows her to go far, go wide, and do whatever she needs to do to make sure the company succeeds. She's only able to operate within a certain radius just because she's a woman. She's the only woman on there, and her opinion needs to be validated by her colleagues that she's probably on the same level with just before it can be approved. And if it was a man, he would probably take that decision and come. It's better to apologize than to seek permission. They would rather do it. But for women, it's like, okay, she's got there now. She needs all of them to approve of what she's doing before she's able to do it. So that's what I'm calling something like a placebo power. It appears that you have power. You have power till it threatens a man. You have power to do whatever you want to do till you are faced with a direct threat of a man where you both have to struggle for the same thing.
Again,
that's
I
when
think
you
it's
realize.
some. I think it's definitely some.
Maybe.
situation.
Yeah,
Because if you have your own company,
Right.
there are many women millionaires in Ghana
Right,
who have
right,
their own
right.
companies or their own
Agreed.
chains of stores in Makola. I own it. I've been doing it. I'm not operating in a radius. But yes, maybe more in the corporate world there's a
Right,
radius.
right.
Maybe, if the CEO or the board are largely men, then there might be a radius. So I feel like, it's some
And
here,
I think some of them
there.
are probably
Yeah.
not because it's a woman, but because there's only probably, like you said, in a decision making process which involves 6 people, there's 1 woman. So she needs to obviously get approval from her colleagues. If there were more women on the board or on the panel or on at the leadership level, and she wanted to push through some ideas which would favor more women. Obviously, if there are more women, they would have more empathy, they would understand more, and she'll be able to get it through easily. So, even though she has some power, obviously she will still need to get the approval of the rest of the people. And so, if there are more women there, she probably would have gotten that through
That quicker.
than if there were fewer women there.
Fewer, yeah.
So I say it's neither here nor there. I don't think it's a complete open and shut,
Right.
situation
I think,
as it is.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Just to drop in something. You see, it is not too easy for somebody to sit down for you to grab power from the person. We should fight it ourselves. I remember when I was teaching before I left the classroom to Parliament House. I was teaching in a secondary school, and we had a girls' week sort of, and then we had a discussion. I was asking the men how they feel when a woman, a girl, is smarter, more intelligent than they
Okay.
were. They said they are not happy. So I said, if you are not happy, God gives the intelligence. What would you do? He said, Mommy, when we say I would just try, behave as if we are loving them and impregnate them, so that they don't continue.
Oh,
That was what they said. That at times when they see the smarter girls, they go closer
Wow.
and pretend as if
the
they love them.
strategy of
Yes.
distraction
And
is
then
like,
they impregnate.
See what I said
"My
about
God."
distractions?
yeah, I mean, sex is
Look at
definitely a
this.
distraction. Sex,
That's why
love,
look at this.
A lot of
Look at this
distractions.
thinking.
Yeah.
But you see, it is there. And if it is starting from that age,
Then of
you
course.
should know how far it is going. So it is for us. Me, I always say that a few of us who, by God's grace, we have gotten there, we should not let it be like that. We should continue and get other people on top. Like this fora that we have just gotten. If we are not lucky, another one will come next year. And by next year, all that we discussed might have gone.
I think
and
it's
we'll
also
need to start
important
it all again.
that we're sharing our
Yeah.
experiences, you know, and having honest conversations. Like, keep your legs closed when
Yeah.
you go to work. You know, when you're in a certain position, don't sleep your way up. It's the same way you're going to have to sleep your way down. And maybe we haven't been honest in some of these conversations. Maybe we've glorified certain things that we shouldn't have.
Yes.
And I don't know. It seems like a lot. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. I'm gonna just go quickly through our messages before we say goodbye. So, Nana Kwesi is asking a question which I find a lot of men ask when we're talking about women. He says, "I support the empowering women movement. In fact, I'm an advocate. But my question is, has it been channeled to the right direction? Has the intention been clearly defined?" And this is what men ask when we talk about women: has the boy child not become a victim and also left behind? So I don't know about that, but we're not actually talking about boys being victims and being left behind. So, but thank you, Nana Kwesi. If you're in Osu is saying good evening to you, Theresa. Loves that your children cook with you. So, that's Ifya. But unfortunately, that's all we have time for. Let me say a happy International Women's Day to all the women who are listening. Next week we'll have another conversation because it would be the day after International Women's Day. But let me also say a big thank you to Honorable Beatrice Bernice Boating, former MP New Drubbing, Theresa Ayode, CEO Charterhouse, and Essina Batali, Digital Marketing Strategist, and of course regular presence here on Strong and Sassy. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for having us. And I'd like to use this last opportunity to invite you all to the National Women's Summit on International Women's Day next week, Tuesday. It's in collaboration with Joy FM.
Oh, that's lovely.
Yes, so
we'll be
you're
there.
invited.
Where is it
It's at the Grand Arena at the Accra International Conference Center. It's an all-day affair from 9 a.m. to 4 p.m. Just come and vibe with women and
please,
engage with
if
women.
it will not be too much, just send us a way.
We'll send you, yes, we'll send you the details.
So we don't forget.
Okay. All right. This has been Strong and Sassy. My name is Animwaa Anim-addo. We'll do this again next week at 7 o'clock. Handing over now to Maxwell Adbadba for the news at 8.
Thank you, Animwaa. Hello, it's 8 o'clock. Maxwell